Who you are is defined by what you're willing to struggle for. Mark Manson. The rabbit hole of self-help is never ending. One day you read a book on meditation, so you try that. Then a friend tells you about yoga, so you work on that. Then journaling, then a morning routine. Pretty soon you are trying to master 100 different things, and you feel stressed out and unaccomplished. According to Mark Manson, that's exactly the problem with self-help. He says that the key to living a good life is not by giving a fuck about more things, but rather giving a fuck about only the things that align with your personal values. To illustrate this concept more, Manson introduces the feedback loop from hell. Manson says, "Tell me if this sounds familiar to you. You get anxious about confronting someone in your life. That anxiety cripples you, and you start wondering why you're so anxious. Now you're becoming anxious about being anxious. Oh no, doubly anxious. Now you're anxious about your anxiety, which is causing more anxiety. Quick, where's the whiskey?" Welcome to the feedback loop from hell. Chances are you've engaged on it more than a few times. As the philosopher Albert Camus says, you will never be happy if you continue to search for what happiness consists of. You will never live if you are looking for the meaning of life. The book dives deeper into this with the concept, don't try. Charles Bukowski was a failing writer, an alcoholic, and a gambler, and in his mind, a loser. When, at age 50, he started to gain popularity and success, it wasn't because he straightened up his act and became a quote-unquote good guy. It was because of his self-acceptance and willingness to embrace the darker side of himself. On his tombstone, the epitaph reads, "Don't try." Today's society wants you to try at everything, to care about everything. This leads us to being upset about things that we don't have and what we aren't. Don't try to be something you aren't. Have you ever thought of happiness as a problem? Society today also seems to put a problem, pain, and stress-free life on a pedestal as the perfect existence. This leads people to believe that something is wrong anytime they have a problem. Manson argues the opposite. To be happy, we need something to solve. Happiness is therefore a form of action. Instead of focusing on being happy or rich or any other outcome, ask yourself, what pain and struggles might I enjoy and be willing to endure? If you want to be a marathon runner, you better enjoy the daily toil of running. If your goal is to be a successful entrepreneur, it's likely that you'll need to enjoy long days at the office. So guess what? You are not special. Both social and mainstream media has a habit of highlighting the extremes, not the normal. If you start believing that these extremes are normal or average, you can start to feel insecure or even inadequate. If you accept that you are average, and so are the people around you, you can focus on what you can do to improve yourself to overcome the true flaws and obstacles in your life. The value of suffering. Each and every one of us has a core set of values, and they are reflected in our day-to-day actions. The things you do, the things you prioritize, are a reflection of your values. Manson believes that changing your values for the better will help improve the way that we deal with day-to-day problems. If you focus on only giving a fuck about the right values, those that are reality-based, internally achieved, and socially constructive, these are the path to a good life. Whether you realize it or not, you are always choosing. There will be things that happen to you that are out of your hands, car accidents, job loss, illness, or even injury. You can't control these things, but you can always choose how you react to them. Taking responsibility for the circumstances that are thrust upon us and dealing with them effectively is a choice, and it is often the difference between successful and unsuccessful people. And I hate to tell you this, but you're probably wrong. If you think you know everything, or that you're always right, then you don't need to continue to learn things. You're as good as you're going to get. Instead, if you look at things and you doubt your assumptions and knowledge, then you'll be more aware of the things that you don't know and how you can improve. Historically, much of what we know and believe has been wrong. Astronomers once thought the sun revolved around the earth. All of Europe believed the world was flat. There are countless health remedies that once were believed to be beneficial, and now we know how harmful they actually are. If we understand that we are often wrong, we can improve what we know little by little each day, so that tomorrow we are less wrong than we were today. Fail forward. When it comes to failure, we all need to act more like children. Children fall over and over when learning how to walk, but you don't see them give up, do you? Manson believes that in order to succeed at anything in life, you must be willing to fail first and suffer multiple setbacks before finding success. He uses his own life as an example. He graduated during the Great Recession, couldn't find a job, and ended up losing his apartment. By most standards, he failed at the first thing you should do when you graduate college and become an adult. Since he had already failed by most people's standard, he was able to realign his values and started an online business and writing, which eventually both succeeded. John C. Maxwell was quoted, "Everything in life brings risk. It is true that you risk failure if you try something bold because you might miss it, but you also risk failure if you stand still and don't try anything new." Next, learn to say no. This comes back to giving a fuck about some things and saying no to all other things. People often think of the path to happiness as endless options, but meaning actually comes from caring a lot about a few select things. Overabundance has diminishing returns. Your first guitar is special, but your 10th is just another instrument. The first time you leave the country is unique and memorable, but the 50th country you've visited is probably less so. Pick the things that you really care about, and then practice saying no to all other things. And then you die. The book ends on a positive note, about death. Using an example of a friend who died at 19 in a cliff diving accident, Manson realizes that given this certainty of death, most things that we worry about are insignificant in the grand scheme of things. Mark Twain wrote, "Fear of death follows fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time." Confronting the reality of death teaches you to prioritize and identify the things that actually matter to you. There are plenty of things that we stress about, chase after, or worry about that either never happen or are completely trivial in the long run. Who you are is defined by what you're willing to struggle for. Mark Manson. The ultimate anti-self-help, self-help book. Throughout this book, Manson illustrates why doing the opposite of what is often taught is the way to happiness and fulfillment. Stop caring about 100 different little things and focus on the 5 to 10 that actually really matter to you. You have a limited number of fucks to give, so spend them wisely. Did you enjoy our summary? Do you have a book, article, or saying that you'd like to see us do a video on? Leave your ideas in the comments below, and your suggestion might just be our next animation. While you're scrolling down, hit that thumbs up button if you like the video to help out the channel, and make sure to subscribe so that you always get notified when we release new content.